Hi everyone, my name is RJ Hawkins. I'm a Senior Product Evangelist at Adobe. And in this Adobe TV episode, I want to illustrate how to use a FrameMaker template for consistently authoring chapters or sections, and then how to use these files to build a book. The first thing that I want to talk about is templates in general in Adobe FrameMaker. Unlike Microsoft Word, where there's actually a special file format for a template called DLT, FrameMaker doesn't have anything similar, and this is because literally any file in FrameMaker can be used as a template for creating other files based on it. So there are a couple of ways for you to get started in Frame using a template. First of all, you can take a look at some of the templates that FrameMaker has included for a number of years. And to do that, you can use the main screen, and under Create New, you can go ahead and select Document. So in this dialog box, there are several options up here at the top. You can go with the basic portrait document, and what you're going to get is probably the most basic file. It's just a basic portrait, 8.5 by 11, nothing really to it. And it does have some paragraph tags and character styles and so forth, but this is probably not the most ideal way of getting started. So let me go ahead and close that. Now I'm going to go back to Create New Document, and just as I did before, you can go with Landscape, which is just going to be a rotated portrait, 11 by 8.5. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with Custom here, and you can actually select from this pull down, you can select, different sizes like US letter, legal, tabloid, and so forth. You can also specify a custom width and a custom height, number of columns, and even do things like pagination, double-sided and single-sided and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. I just wanted to show you. Let me go back to create a new document, and there are a couple options down here at the bottom. One allows you to explore standard templates. And what this is going to have is just going to have some basic templates that we have also included for a number of years, things like a letter, memos, reports. You can also get outlines, which are really nice for numbered outlines. And you can even go to more options, and then you'll start to get things that are a little bit more interesting, like a chapter and a front matter and a TOC and so forth. But for this example, let me go with a chapter. There are a couple of options you can choose once you select the template. One is to create, which I'm going to click here. And what this is going to do is it's going to give you an untitled document, and it's going to give you a blank file based on that template. So as you begin typing, you're going to be able to apply different paragraph styles. So if I go to the Format menu and select Paragraphs, and then bring up my catalog, you're going to see that these are the paragraph tags or styles that are included with this template. In other words, a template is made up of different styles, and paragraph styles just happens to be one of those styles. Okay, so this is pretty good, but a lot of times people want to see sort of what a final document is going to look like based on that template. So in that case, I'm going to come back to my same dialog box, and I'm going to click Explore Standard Templates again. And instead of clicking Create for chapter, I'm going to go ahead and click Show Sample. And that's exactly what it's going to do. So we selected some dummy text here, and it's actually going to show you what a chapter title is going to look like. And if you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see by clicking on the various paragraphs what a heading is going to look like in this case, and what a heading 2 and what body is going to look like, and so on and so forth. So this is another nice way of getting started. But what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you my favorite option here, and that is I'm going to go ahead and click Document. But in this case, I'm not going to go with the portrait or landscape or even explore standard templates. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the installation folder in Frame, And I'm going to go, in my case, I have it installed on my part of the technical communication suite. So I'm going to go to FrameMaker 9. And there is a folder here which is a little hidden. I wish it was part of the templates, but it's called samples. So if you double click on that, and from the samples, you're going to find a folder called More Samples. And in here, you're going to get various types of files. Well, my favorite set of files is inside a folder called Books. So I'm going to double click on that. And I don't know if you go way back to with FrameMaker, but at some point, Adobe actually had a set of templates that you could download, and they were really cool. They were authored by a couple of guys that used to work at Frame Technology and later Adobe, and they did a fantastic job not only creating these templates, but also documenting them. So I really like that. So if you go to, you can just try these, but my favorite is the book style 2. And then from here, the file that I want is this bk2.fm. So literally you select it and you click new, or you can double click on it. And again, anytime you pick a template, or you select new and then go pick a template, instead of actually opening up that template, what you're going to be getting is a copy of that in an untitled document, which is perfect because at this point, you're going to be able to type in your own data and then save it however you want to save it. And of course, it's going to be based on that template. And again, this proves that point at the beginning where I talk about how, even though there's no special extension or file format for a FrameMaker template, you can, of course, base new files based on that template. That's exactly what we're seeing here. So what I'm going to do is, and you can see the paragraph styles over on the right, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just replace some of these things, and I'm going to go ahead and call it Chapter 1. I'm going to highlight that and just call it Getting Started. And of course, the beauty of this is notice how nicely documented these templates are. And if you're a template designer, one of the best practices that I would share is that not only do you want to design your templates, but you want to document them in a similar way so that your end users or your authors, can follow the instructions there and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. So I'm just going to go to File, and I'm going to say Save. And I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to create a folder here. And I'm going to call my folder FrameMaker book. And in that folder, I'm going to go ahead and start saving my files. So I'm going to call this one Getting Started, and I'll click Save. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it there because, of course, Frame can have multiple documents open at the same time. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to File, I'm going to select New Document, and again, I'm going to go and navigate to that same More Samples folder, and I'm going to select the same chapter, so this has become my template, as you can see. I'm going to click New. That's going to open up again an untitled document. You could see it up here. And I'm going to call this Intermediate Tasks, for lack of a better chapter heading here. And again, I'm going to save it, and I will send it to the same folder. And I'm going to title it, again, Intermediate Tasks. And I'm going to click Save. So again, I'll leave it there. And a couple things I want you to notice is, first of all, these templates are based on, or these files are based on a template. And this is the reason why, they all say Chapter 1. But the beauty of Frame is as soon as I compose that book, you're going to see these things update. I'll show you. So I'm going to do one last chapter. And again, I'm going to base it on my template. I'm going to click New. And I'm going to replace the placeholder text with Advanced concepts. And again, I'm going to File, save it. And again, I'm going to send it to the same folder. And I would call it Advanced Concepts. Okay, so I'm going to click Save. All right, so just to recap, I have 3 chapters: Getting Started, Intermediate Tasks, and Advanced Concepts. And they're all based on the same template. That's why they look consistent, and that's why it's highly recommended that in FrameMaker use the same template to build similar looking chapters. Okay, so now that I have that, next thing I want to do is I want to assemble all these 3 chapters inside a book. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to the File menu, and I'm going to select New, and notice how there's an option here for Book. And the beauty of Frame is that notice how I made sure that I was actually inside the Getting Started.fm file, because I knew I was going to get this message that says, do you want to add the file Getting Started FM to the new book? I'm going to say yes. So notice how my book is right there. So the first thing you want to do in a book is you want to quickly save it. So I'm going to save it using the save icon. And again, I'm going to save it to the same place. That's just best practice. And I'm going to go ahead and call it just manual.book. I'm going to click save. And the reason why you want to save it is notice how the path quickly updates to reflect that it's in the same folder. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to add files. And the way to do that is you want to click Add, and you want to go to Files, and again you want to add your intermediate tasks and your advanced concepts. And by the way, if you hold down the Control key, you can actually add multiple files at the same time, which I'm going to do. Now, if they just happen to be in the right order, but if they weren't, I could easily just click, hold, and drag. And notice how easy it is for me to change the order of these files. And of course, the order of the files in a book is going to be critical, just as the order is important in a traditional book. Okay, so Getting Started, Intermediate Tasks, and Advanced Concepts. Next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add a table of contents. Now, to do that, you still go to the Add menu, but in this case, you select Table of Contents. And the beauty of Frame here is that it's really easy to build a table of contents because you just have to tell it the paragraph styles that you want to use for your table of contents. So in my case, I'm going to go with the chapter name. I'm going to scroll down a little bit and double click head 1 and then double click head 2. And these are the 3 main styles that I want to use for building my table of contents. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add. And an Update Book window is going to come up. I'm going to say no, not yet, because I still want to add the index. So I'm going to go to the last chapter, and I'm going to click Add, and I'm going to go and add a standard index. And again, nothing to it here. A simple include markers of type index is going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add. And then my index is going to be added. And I'm going to get this box here. And since I said cancel the last time, I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to go ahead and save my book, of course. And now I have a pretty complete book that has a table of contents. It has the 3 chapters that I authored based on that same template. And then, of course, it has the index. So now the final step is for you to actually generate those files. And I'm going to do that by going to the Edit menu and then selecting Update Book. And now I'm going to make sure that my TOC and my index are included in the Generate box. And notice how here I can update my numbering, my cross-references, and all kinds of good stuff here. So I'm going to go ahead and click Update. And then my TOC and my index files are going to be updated. And I'm going to go ahead and minimize those, and we'll come back to them. But the first thing I want to do is let's take a look at the Getting Started file. So to do that, I'm going to minimize my book. And I'm going to double click Getting Started. And notice how it says Chapter 1, which is a good sign. Now while I'm at it, I'm going to go to my intermediate tasks, and it still says chapter 1. That's okay. And I want to show you how advanced concepts probably still says chapter 1. That's okay. Now I'm going to go back to my book, and the way to fix that is to select your chapters, and I can use my shift key here. And notice how we have options under the right click menu, and one of those options is this numbering option. This is what you want to do. So FrameMaker gives you full control over how you want to chapter or number your chapters. So what I really want to do here is I want to use this continue numbering from previous chapters in book. And notice how as soon as I click set, FrameMaker is going to go to work. And if I minimize my book and then take a look at chapter 1, it says, of course, chapter 1. If I take a look at my chapter 2 or my intermediate task, it should say chapter 2, and then my advanced concepts should say number 3. So that is how easy it is to build chapters based on templates, assemble those chapters inside a book, and then once in the book, I can control their numbering, and I can build a table of contents, and I can do all these things. So I wanted to keep this Adobe TV episode as short as possible. Of course, there's a lot more, but I do get this question quite a bit. How do I use a template to build chapters? How do I assemble those chapters in a book? And then how do I generate a table of contents and an index for them? So I did want to include answers to those questions. And of course, please come back to Adobe TV, to the Technical Communication channel, so you can learn more about FrameMaker and some of the other tools. But I do thank you for watching this. And if you have any feedback, just leave a comment at the bottom of this video. So thank you.